Hello Curlies, it's Mary. So this video is going to be about helix piercings and natural hair. So you're probably thinking to yourself, what on earth does a helix piercing have to do with natural hair? Well, keep watching and you'll find out. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you may well have noticed that this appeared in the middle of 2016. I've been considering getting a helix piercing for a while. I am not majorly into piercings. I mean, I didn't get my main ears pierced until I was 28. So yeah, I'm not really big on piercings, but I got obviously my ears done. But for a while during 2015 and 2016, I just kind of feeling like, you know what, I want to do another piercing, but I'm not sure where. And I was thinking about it for a while, and then I decided actually I like how helix looks and I wanted a ring. So I just wanted to show you up close, and this is what my helix piercing is looking like right now. It has, I would say, about 90% healed. And I pierced it last July, so we are 6 months, almost 7 months in, I believe. Yes. So basically the shop that I went to get my piercing done at, they actually do a helix piercing as a stud, as standard practice. So you have to get the stud done first, and then after helix piercing is healed, then they will replace it with a ring. But I ran into a couple of issues which meant that I had to actually replace my my stud with a ring a bit earlier than I kind of wanted to, in a way. My piercing hadn't healed yet, but I will explain in a bit the reason for that. The experience of getting my piercing done was actually not bad at all. I'm not scared of needles. Usually if I have to have an injection or blood drawn or whatever, I can usually look straight at it and be fine. So it wasn't, I mean, of course it hurt a bit, but the initial piercing itself wasn't painful. It was more after a while, you know, your body's actually registering like, yeah, you've actually like put a hole in me. And then, you know, the pain sensation starts. It was more like a throbbing than anything else. But generally speaking, after a while that throbbing sensation went away, and the only time I actually remembered that I actually had a piercing was if I touched it. If I touched it, it hurt like hell. Okay? However, if I did not touch it, I wouldn't even remember that I just pierced something. Like, it just didn't hurt after a while. Strange but true. So basically, after 6 months, how do I feel about my helix piercing? I love it, of course. I thought for quite a long time before I got it done. So by the time I got there, I did think very carefully about exactly where I wanted it. I wanted the ring to be in this exact place. And yeah, it got pierced in exactly the right place. So I really love how it looks when I do styles like these, and when it's just literally like the style is pulled back behind my ear, and then you can see my ear and my piercing. I really love how it looks. It's just like, yeah, I don't regret it at all. The longest part of it, to be honest, is the actual healing process. You just have to be aware of some of the considerations that, you know, you need to take care of if that's the kind of piercing that you want to make. But if you love it, go for it. How do you sleep? This may seem completely unrelated, okay, but how you sleep has a big impact on which ear you pierce or what kind of piercing you get. Because, for example, if you sleep on your right hand side, then you need to pierce your left ear. If you sleep on your left hand side, then you need to pierce your right ear, because you will not be able to sleep on that side on a pillow for good 3 to 4 months, depending on how quickly your body heals. A helix piercing can take up to a whole year to heal. Yes, it can take between 6 months to a year to heal a helix piercing. As mentioned with regards to sleeping, for example, for me, I know that I'm fine sleeping on my right side, so I decided to pierce my left ear. I knew that basically for the next 4 to 5 months, 6 months, maybe up to a year, I would have to be sleeping on my right hand side. It's important to think before you get to your piercer, to think, okay, like what style do I actually want to achieve? Where do I want the piercing to be? Just have a bit of a think about that before you get there, because it will help things to run a lot more smoothly. And also, you don't want to pierce it in the shop and then realize like, oh, actually that's not quite where I wanted it to be, that kind of thing. Another consideration is the way that you style your hair. So for me, I really love styling my hair on this side. So for me, having a helix piercing here was actually perfect, because it would create a way to draw attention to my ear, which is what I wanted. For example, if you'd like to style your hair on this side, it wouldn't make any sense to then get this ear pierced if that's not what you wanted it to be. If you just wanted it to be here and to be covered up, that's fine. But if you wanted it to be shown and to be a part of your style, then just consider how you like to style your hair and how it would look with multiple looks, whether your hair being down or being up or being half up. So important, you want to keep your piercing clean. Because it is a cartilage piercing, it's not like an earlobe piercing where it's just going through flesh. It is a cartilage piercing, so it's going through that semi-bony structure that's a bit flexible that you have in certain parts of your body. What that's going to do is it may well bleed a little, but more than that, you may get over time some pus or liquid coming out. Do not be alarmed, okay? Don't be alarmed. It's just the fact that it's a cartilage piercing, so it is going to take a bit longer to heal, and that's just what happens with cartilage piercings. But what you want to try and do is keep it as clean as possible. So what I found really useful is just to get some sea salt. You want to get sea salt, not table salt, and some hot water that you have gotten just been boiled from the kettle. Just make a solution out of it, not a lot of it, but just a small solution of it. Let it cool down a bit, and then just take a cotton bud or two and just use the cotton bud that's been saturated in the salt water just to clean around your piercing, and then any kind of extra debris and gunk should come away, and it should help your piercing. The salt water actually helps your piercing to be clean and to heal really nicely. Really important, you do not want to obstruct your piercing. What I mean by that is you don't want stuff to be laying on top of it or to be getting in the way of it. So things like scarves, bonnets, hats, all of those things you need to be aware of. Thankfully, I'm happy that I actually pierced my ear during the summer months, so that meant that I didn't really need to wear hats, or I could keep like wearing scarves and stuff to a minimum. But just be aware that if you're gonna pierce your ears during the winter, it may take a lot longer to heal, especially if you're trying to wear hats and stuff, because that stuff can get pulled over your ears, which may irritate your piercing. Another tip, sometimes while your piercing is healing, you may get a really weird kind of bump just by your ear. If that does happen, number one, you need to keep up with your sea salt rinse or soak on your ear. That's really important. But also another thing which I found helped a whole lot was either if you have some vitamin E oil, or if you have some tea tree oil. Tea tree oil is an excellent antibacterial, antifungal, and so it really helps if you're experiencing a bit of irritation, or you're experiencing that kind of weird bump on your ear, then it really does help to just take a tiny bit of tea tree oil, or you can make a sea salt paste. I've seen videos on it on YouTube. I might link one up here for you if you need to find it. Apply that to your ear, and then do your best not to touch your ear, not to play with it, not to fiddle with it, because if you keep fiddling with it, it's more likely to get infected and may take longer to heal, or yeah, not nice. So you have to be aware that when you're styling your hair, especially if you want to do things like puffs or styles that go up and are going to go past your ear, it's really, really important for you to be aware and remember that you have actually pierced your ear. Because my ear wasn't hurting after a while, I would tend to forget that the wound from my piercing was still healing. So I would go to put my hair up in a puff, and you know me and my hairband, I would literally put it around my head, pull it tight, and then pull up, and then go, yeah, ouch. Because, of course, my piercing hadn't healed yet. And you may have noticed in some of my tutorials, what I started to do was actually, I put the hairband around my head, but then I would literally put the hairband behind my ear and go from there, and then pull the hairband up, because I didn't want it to catch on my ear. As much as possible, avoid a whole load of moisture hanging around this area right here. So for example, if you like to deep condition for hours, which is something that I love to do, I used to just wear my plastic caps with my conditioner all the way over my ears, just because that's how I feel comfortable in general. But I actually had to stop doing that, because keeping the area moist for too long, it actually irritated my ear even more, and it meant that it took longer to heal. So another thing you would have to consider, if you use a silk or satin scarf, or if you use a bonnet, not to put it straight over your ear like this. It will be better if it goes around the back of your ear, whichever ear it is, because again, putting pressure on your ear is not a good idea. Another thing, just to be aware when you're washing your hair, conditioning your hair, whatever it is that you're doing, just be aware that the piercing may not respond very well to the type of products that you're using for your hair. So as much as you can, just try to avoid getting product on this area over here. Of course, easier said than done. It's right next to your hair, so sometimes it is unavoidable, but as much as you can, avoid it, because it's gonna make your piercing take a lot longer to heal. Trust me, it happened to me. Take extra care when detangling your hair, because your comb can catch on the wound if you're detangling your hair over here, and if you're not careful, you can just do some real damage to your wound, and it hurts. It seriously hurts. Another thing you also need to consider is, which is one of the questions that they asked me when I went to get my piercing, is do you have any keloids, or are you prone to keloids? Keloids are just when you've had a wound of some kind or a cut, and your skin heals, but then it keeps healing and healing and healing. Basically, I think your body just keeps producing collagen, and so your skin just keeps growing and growing and growing. And if you are a person of color, a black person, then you are more likely to actually develop keloids, because of just something to do with our skin type. So that's something to be aware of. I do have a keloid. You've most likely seen it on most of my videos, because I don't really hide it. If I'm showing my hair from the back, you will see. And it's on this ear, and you can actually see it already here at the back of my earring. But my keloid wasn't just something that just happened immediately after I pierced my ears. It actually happened a couple of years later due to some irritation from some earrings. So I was just aware that if I pierce my helix up here, it may develop into a keloid. That was something that I took at my own risk. But because I knew that this one had only developed after a longer period of time and some other irritation, then I wanted to make sure that I just tried not to irritate this as much as possible, and I thought that my ear would be fine, which it is, thank God. So safe to say, if you've got a tendency to develop keloids, maybe a helix piercing may not be for you. Just saying. What happened was, a couple of times I forgot that the piercing was even there. I decided a couple of times, oh, I'm just gonna do this, I'm just gonna put my puff up, and then literally yank my ear and scream out in pain because I forgot it was there. And then that would irritate the wound all over again. There's been quite a few times that I went to sleep on my right hand side. When I woke up, I was on my left hand side. It didn't hurt initially, except that when I leaned up and then I touched my ear, I could feel that it had irritated the wound all over again. And if I leaned on my ear this way, because of how long the stud was, it would catch on something, it would catch on my pillow, or it would kind of turn. It would turn at a weird angle inside the wound, which would actually re-irritate the wound even worse. After, I think, maybe a month and a half, I actually went back to the place where I had my piercing done, and I asked them to please remove the stud and give me a ring instead. And to be honest, ever since the ring has been put in my ear, it has made the world of difference. Generally, the ring sits really snug to my ear. It doesn't get caught in combs the way the stud did. I know it seems like it might do, but it really doesn't. Even if something goes past it like this, because of the way that the ring is made, then whatever it is can actually just slide past the stud, as opposed to slide past the ring, sorry, as opposed to catching on a stud. Also, one of the nice things about having a ring is that, let's say something brushes past the ring itself can actually move. Now, I tend not to try to move it too much because it is about, I would say about 90% healed, but it's not 100% there, so I don't like to fuss with the ring too much. But if something were to brush past my ear, the ring can move, and yet it doesn't actually pull on the actual wound itself of my piercing. Okay guys, so that has been my brief guide to Helix piercings in general, but also Helix piercings with natural hair care. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much for giving me a thumbs up if you like this video, and also if you have not subscribed to my channel, I upload videos every weekend. I try to upload about 3 times a week, so if you'd like to hit the red subscribe button below, then that would be wonderful, because I would love you to join with all the other curlies that we have here on this channel. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next video. Take care. Bye.
Let me cross the ocean to your land, settle down upon the sea, lie beneath the trees. Don't wanna miss our second chance.